I learned a huge amount about the importance of connection from all sorts of experts all over the world, but there were a few places where I kind of felt like I saw its emotional power and it fell into place for me. On a big anonymous housing project in Berlin, a Turkish-German woman called Nuria climbed out of her wheelchair and put a sign in her window. She lived on the ground floor. The sign said something like, I got a notice saying I'm going to be evicted next Thursday night from my flat, so on Wednesday, I'm going to kill myself. People start to knock on her door. They're like, do you need any help? She was like, no, piss off, I'm going to kill myself, don't want any help. And one day, one of the people who lived on this housing project had an idea. There's a big thoroughfare that goes through this housing project into the centre of Berlin. If we just blocked the road for a day, and we wheel Nuria out, we make a protest, they were all pissed off their rents were going up too, the media will probably come, there'll be a bit of a fuss, they'll probably let us stay in a home, maybe there'll be a bit of pressure to keep our rents down, right? So they did it. Nuria was like, I'm going to kill myself anyway, I may as well let them push me into the middle of the road, right? They sit there for a day, they have their protest, the media come, and at the end of the day, the police say, okay, you've had your fun, take it down. But the people who lived at Kotti said, well, hang on a minute, you haven't said that Nuria gets to stay in her flat. You haven't said that we're going to get our rents not going up anymore. No, we'll take this down when we get those guarantees. But of course they knew that the minute they left the barricade, the police would just tear it down. So one of my favourite people at Kotti, a woman called Tanya Gartner, she's one of the punk squatters. She wears tiny miniskirts even in Berlin winters. Tanya's hardcore. She went up to her flat and she got a klaxon, you know, one of those things that makes a loud noise at soccer matches. She came down and she said, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to draw up a timetable to man this barricade 24 hours a day. If the police come to take it down, let off the klaxon, we'll all come down from our flats and we'll stop them. So people start to sign up to man this barricade. People who would never have met each other, people who couldn't have been more different, it seemed. Tanya, in her little kind of miniskirt, was paired with Nuria, who wears a full hijab, right? They're like, we have got nothing to talk about. But as the nights went on, they started talking, they realised they had something incredibly powerful in common. Nuria had come to Berlin when she was 17 years old from her village in Turkey with her 2 young children. And her job was to raise enough money so she could send back home for her husband in Turkey. But after she'd been there for a year, she got word from home that her husband had died. That's when Tanya told Nuria something she almost never talked about. Tanya had been thrown out of her home when she was 15. She'd made her way to Kotti. She lived in a punk squat. She'd actually got pregnant soon after. They realised they'd both been teenagers alone with young children in this place. These people who seemed so different had so much in common. There were people making these discoveries all over Kotti. And it struck me so powerfully in Kotti what connection means, what it is. Most of them didn't need to be drugged. They needed to be together. I remember sitting with Tanya and her saying to me, you know, when you're all alone in your flat and you feel like shit, you think it's just you. But what we did is we came out of our corner crying and we started to fight. And we realised how strong we were. I think that's what we all need to do.